Hi there and welcome to Darlene's Creative Studio. So as promised, I did mention in my last video that I would show you what I did with this large black envelope. Again, it is I think it's for a brochure, but it's 11.5 by 9 inches. And it just looks like something that you would put a really pretty invitation in or a brochure in. And it's really large and a little thicker than most of the envelopes that you normally get, the smaller ones. So I originally started with this was the first project that I made, and this is just some of the scrapbooking paper that I had on hand, and I've just added a piece of fabric and some scrapbooking paper excuse me, and a label here and some washi stickers. And on the back, I've added a vellum envelope. And in this vellum envelope, I've just added some of the scraps that I had left over. I made into tags from the papers that I used. So I've added washi stickers as well. And here is another piece. And I have a stencil that makes lines, and I just used my distress ink and made some extra lines there and a little piece of fabric there. And then I used this large piece of scrapbooking paper, and again I've added a washi sticker and a little tab here. Excuse me. This one I left plain because I thought even with a black marker you could write on top of this and not take away from the image, so I left that one plain. And then the vellum envelope, I've used one of those little pink postage stamps with some fabric behind it and another washi sticker there. And then I don't know if you can see, and let's see if I can find something darker to put under that. Oh, maybe this green here. For my punch, thumb punch, I used one of my stamps that is actually a label stamp, and I just used half of it, and that's actually the little punch out that I put in the pocket there. So there's that. That all goes in there. And then on the inside, when you open it up, I took a little bit off the top of the envelope. So in the large pockets, I've created a large journaling card. And again, I left this is how the back of the card was. And I've added a washi sticker and a tab there. And again, I've used that funny little cutout, and I just took a piece of fabric or scrapbooking paper and put it on the inside so that you wouldn't see just black there. You've got that little bit of scrapbooking paper there, and that just slides in. And then there's another one on this side. And again, I've left this one with the image on it. Hopefully you can write around it, but I really like the picture, so I didn't want to cover it up. So again, there's the pocket in the top. And then all I did for this one was left the paper like this. Okay, so when I folded it in half, it made these two little pockets, and I covered the flap. I just took a piece of scrapbooking paper and I put it behind my flap of my envelope, and I traced it out and then glued it on. And I made sure once it was glued on, I scored it down here so that when I folded it, it wouldn't wrinkle. So I did make sure that I scored it there. So and then before I glued the pocket down, I put 2 pieces of paper inside there, and that's when I did my punch out so that it would have the same punch out. So this is just another piece of paper, and then I've added some washi stickers here, and I glued it right down to the bottom. And this was thinner paper. This wasn't scrapbooking paper. And then these are some of the tags that I created. I really liked this paper, and I added the little US postage stamps because they were pink, and some little fabric ties at the top. And then I just added some lined paper and distressed the edges and added some washi stickers to that so that you can actually write on these. So those go inside here on that side. And then these were just scraps from some of that green paper that I was using for the tabs and those larger journaling cards. And again, you can write on them, so I didn't bother to embellish them, and then just added some of the washi stickers to the back. So I just slide those in there with those larger ones. And then on the front, after I cover my flap with scrapbooking paper, I took one of those little tiny envelopes and I cut off the top. So I cut a 2-inch strip off. They were 6-inch envelopes, 6.5-inch envelopes, and I cut off 2 inches off the top so that it would hold a business card. And then from there, I just cut it on an angle. So you have an opening here, and in there I put another piece of journaling card, and I used some of this extra piece of paper there, and it was pink on the back, so I just added some lined paper and added a washi sticker there. So that is cut on an angle, and I glued the back. You probably could just do around the edges and then have another pocket behind there, but I didn't want to make it too bulky, so I just left it that way. So on this side again, I used the little scrap of that cut off that I used to make those tags. So you have a little pocket there and there, and then this is the little pocket from the top that I made a business card, and I rounded the corners and made a little cutout. And then this is just a scrap piece of the pink paper, which was white on the back. And again, I used that stencil with the lines, and I just used my distress ink and created a little pocket there. And I'm going to leave the white side out because then you can see them a little better. So it has quite a few little pockets, 4 different little tuck spots, and then 5 on the back with all these little extra tags, and then just another sticker on the front. So that was just taking the envelope, leaving the flap the way it was, and when I put the paper behind here, I glued the paper all on the top, but I did not glue it here. I just glued it along the edge, so you could still slide something all the way down. So if I was gluing this down here, I put all the glue on this part of the envelope that was solid, and then on this piece of paper I just went like this and glued along the edge and the bottom. And then when I attached it, there was no glue here, so I could still slide it down, and then it stopped at the bottom. So that's how I put those pieces behind, these pink pieces of paper behind, so I could still slide this very large tag all the way to the bottom. And now we'll slide back in. There we go. So that was this one was just folding it in half like that. And then this particular one, this is an Edith Holden. I took the last of my Edith Holden pages that had florals on them. And again, I just folded the envelope in half, but this flap was really, really large. So all I did was fold it down to about there, push on it, and actually I'm going to go ahead and do it because I'll show you what I did here. So I did that, and then I flipped it over this way. So that's actually my pocket, and then I just trimmed this little bit off like this. Get rid of that piece, and I glued that piece down. So when you're using it as a pocket, it's a little sturdier on the top. It's not really, really flimsy. And then again, I folded it in half like this, and I usually do this up against an edge, like on my cutting board or something. There's a little edge there so that I get it perfectly straight like that, and then I just did that out of the way and use my bone folder to score my edges like that. So there is my little pocket like this. And then for this particular one, I just trimmed off the edges on the sides of the envelope so that I could do a pocket on the sides. So I would take this over to my cutter, and I literally cut off 1/16 of an inch, and I'm just going to go ahead and do that so I can show you. So I have literally cut off 1/16 of an inch off of that edge, so that now I can have a pocket going on the side like that. So these are the scraps I'll have left over. So then what I did, I glued this page again the same way, and then I wanted to make sure that I could put a full piece of paper in there and then add something to the sides. So what I did for the sides, I took some black cardstock and literally just cut it in half, so it's 5.5 by 8.5, and it fits in here perfectly because this is 9 inches wide, right? And I just created these journaling cards, and these are from the Cookery Notes. So there was recipes on the back, and then they would leave you a spare page, and I do have a copy one. Let me show you. Sorry, I have a fuzzy. So it has recipes on the back, but on the front it's got recipes where you could write your own, I guess, or notes for that recipe. And this is called cookery notes. So all I did was trim around. I cut the flowers out, and then I just trimmed around the edges here, straight down, and then cut around the corners and added that. And then I took a piece of the flowers that I cut off the top, and I just put it back on there. And these are from the cookery notes, had some butterflies on all four corners, and I cut out all the butterflies and saved them for adding on later. So that is just a nice big journaling card that you can slide in the side here like that, and there's one on this side as well. So I'm just going to go and continue making some tags and stuff for this, and I think I'm going to put one of my labels down here, one of these type of labels here on the bottom corner there, and then I've added a butterfly up on the top, and I may add something to the back of this and cover up some of the words and stuff. I just started this last night before I started the video so that I could get some ideas, different ways of using the envelope. This one from the sides, and this one I just trimmed off a very, very small part of the top so that I could add the larger journaling cards on the top there. So those are two different variations. I may add a little tab here. It's just that if I do that, then it will stick out the edge, which might be all right if you have little tabs sticking out there. And then I'll create some tabs, and I might do a little vellum pocket on the front here. So I'm going to keep going with this, and then I'm actually going to walk you through making one. I will use the one that I've already started, that I've cut off and glued, and we'll do some step-by-steps. I'll finish cutting off that one little side, and I'll take you step by step on making a quick folio. Okay, so now we're going to get started on putting this together. So I dug out the package of these envelopes, and it's careerbuilder.com resume envelopes. They're 5-count heavyweight, 9 inches by 11.5 inches. Again, I got these at a thrift store that were in a little bundle. So just to update you again, I've folded the flap. Oops, let me get those out of the way. That was the flap. I went ahead and just folded it under and cut that off. And I'm going to glue it right now so I don't forget. I'm just going to glue this little tiny, let me get in the camera, lip here under. And it's only about 1/2 inch. But it's just to give that pocket that's going to be there some stability. And again, I went ahead and cut off 1/16 of an inch off of each of these sides of the envelope. So now I'm going to have an envelope that looks like that. It's going to have pockets here. And I'm going to eventually glue this down once I put some paper behind it. So what I'm going to use is a 12 by 12 piece of scrapbooking paper. And this is from the Bow Bunny collection. Again, I got this at Tuesday mornings down in the States when I was on vacation. And this was fairly cheap, so I grabbed this one. I just liked the outdoor themes. So I just took a 12 by 12. And what I'm going to do is measure the front, and I want to go in about 1/8 of an inch on either side. So it's going to be about 5.5 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9/16, something like that. But you just want to leave yourself, and you can cut it to the exact width and then just trim it back a little bit. But I just quickly measure, so it's 5.5 plus 1, or 9/16. And then the same with this one. It's 8 3/4 plus 1. That's how I do it. So all I do is go and take this piece of paper, and I'm going to cut it to about the 5.5 strips this way. And then when I go to turn it and cut it, I'm going to leave myself with some little pieces. So this is what I've done. I'm going to use this green piece. So this is my 12 by 12, and I have these two pieces, and then I have my little scrap off the side. So that's my 12 by 12 piece. So I've cut them to match. I went this way first and then cut the ends off, so I end up with two, and I'm going to make these into journaling cards that will go inside one of the pockets. So I'm going to set those aside. But what I'm going to do is add this to the front as my background paper, because I think the black is just a little too much, but I do want to use these envelopes. And it just kind of makes it pop a little bit with that black trim showing around the edges. Now I was going to just use, I've got a huge bag of planner pages that my mother has given me. I think I've mentioned this before in another tutorial. I've got a great big stack here. I buy my mom a planner every year. Marjolein Bastin, day planner every year, and she has given them back to me to use the pages for whatever I want. And I have stacks and stacks and stacks of these pages. So I thought these might be, and these are some of the ones that I've cut out around the shapes, but I thought these might be nice to use on the front of this. So if I put the scrapbooking paper here, I was thinking of taking some of these and maybe just putting them in the center there. That one's very, very pretty. I really like that one. I love the blue jays. And then I have another little birdie here. But what I think I'm going to use is, this was 2 pages, and I've cut them down to fit inside this, but this was 2 pages on a calendar that she used, but these are her planner pages. As you can see, there's writing all over them. But I think what I'm going to do is use these, and I'm just going to, I just cut them down a 1/4 inch smaller than this scrapbooking paper. So it's going to go in the center like that. So then I will have the frame of the green paper plus the black frame going around, and then this will be my front cover. But I think for this one, I'm also going to grab some of my cotton fabric, and these are just strips that I've torn, and I don't even know how long they are. They're quite long. I just grabbed a piece that I had. They are about 18 inches long and probably about a 1/2 inch thick. And I'm just going to glue this on here first, so that when I put my papers and everything down, I'm going to have a string to use as a tie. And I'm going to use some Fabri-Tac. If this Fabri-Tac will come out, I may have to get a new bottle. So I'm just going to glue this right about there. I'll see if I can get this Fabri-Tac going. I played with it for a little while to see what I wanted to do with the cover. And some of the pictures cut out, they're really nice against the black, but it's just a little too much black, and I don't want the black to be the main focus of the cover. And again, I'm just eyeballing this, so it doesn't have to be perfect. So we're going to glue that piece on there first. I'll do the back one as well while I'm got my Fabri-Tac oozing out here. Yep. All right, I'm just going to put a little bit more on there. I think at one point this might have been too cold when it was shipped, because it's a little thicker than the smaller bottles. Okay, let's just put a lid on that. And I don't need to tack it because I'm going to be gluing the other pages down over top of it. Doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, so that's my back. So let's go back to my front. Okay, so then I'm going to glue this down on top. I'm just going to trim that little piece back before it dries. There we go. Because you don't want that to show through the back. Like that. Okay, and I'm just going to use my glitter glue. Now you can do this with any large envelope. It's just these have had the flap going a certain way, and I thought that they would make a nice folio. And if you have a big enough journal, this could slide in. If you make your journals with the elastic, you know, just the cover with the elastic, and you put your inserts in, this would make a nice folio to go inside one of your journals. And I am going to be making a few of those with the fabric samples that I showed you, so I might save these and use those as folios inside. And then I'm going to take this planner page and I'm going to glue it right on top like that. And I'm just going to take it off screen to glue it because it does have some of my mom's personal information on the back here, and I know she would be very upset if she knew that I was showing it on camera. Not that there's anything too personal on the back here. All right, we're going to go ahead and glue this guy in the middle here, and I'm just eyeballing it and placing it where I want it. And then I'm just going to get my brayer. You can use a bone folder, but I'm just going to give everything a really good push down like that. Okay, so there's my front cover. Now we're going to flip it over to the back. And I'm going to take my second green piece, and is there a pattern? We won't see that much, so it won't matter if there's a pattern going a certain direction. We're going to go ahead and glue this guy down. I just wanted to make sure that my fabric wasn't showing from the side. All right, let's get this guy glued down. Like that. And again, we'll just give it a quick push with the brayer. And then this is the one I'm using on the back. So it's the other flip side of that page. Oops, and I'll just... There's a lot of words on there. I'm just going to take it off camera and glue it over here. Of course, my glue is jammed up. Let me just stick this down here. There we go. All right. Let's put this guy on. Now, because I'm using these pages, we probably won't need to add any washi stickers or anything like that as more decorative pieces. That little corner just didn't have enough glue on it. There we go. So there is my front cover, and there's my back cover. And I've got these little ties that I can use to tie them up.